Confucius once said that the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Most people nod at those words as if they understand them. But Wei discovered that understanding is easy. Living the lesson is something else entirely. Wei was a young man overflowing with ambition. He dreamed not of a simple life, but of leaving behind a legacy, a temple so grand it would stand long after he turned to dust. His friends admired his passion. But to Wei, admiration wasn't enough. He wanted impact. He wanted immortality. But as soon as he began planning, the dream began crushing him. He saw the sheer amount of stone, wood, labor, and time required. The mountain of effort was so overwhelming that he felt his spirit shrink inside him. By the time he approached Confucius, desperation had replaced excitement. "Master," he said, voice cracking with frustration, "I wish to build a great temple, one that will endure for centuries. But when I see the enormity of the task, I feel defeated before I begin. How does anyone carry out a dream so impossibly large?" Confucius did not respond with philosophy. He simply said, "Follow me." They walked in silence until they reached the base of a towering mountain. Its shadow stretched across the ground like a reminder of human smallness. Confucius bent down, picked up a small, smooth stone, and set it at Wei's feet. "Your journey begins here," he said. "Pick up this stone." Wei hesitated. Surely this wasn't the answer. A temple required thousands of stones. What difference could one make? But Wei obeyed, lifting the small stone and carrying it to the open plot of land where he hoped his temple would one day stand. The next day, Confucius gave him the same instruction. Pick up one stone and carry it. And then the next day. And the next. Day after day, without variation, that was his entire task. At first, Wei believed he was being tested, that Confucius was teaching patience or humility. But as weeks turned into months, doubt began to rot inside him. His friends joked that Wei was not building a temple at all, just a collection of random pebbles. "Look at Wei," they laughed, "the mighty builder of mountains. One handful at a time." Their laughter stung, but the voice inside Wei stung more. His hands blistered, his shoulders throbbed. Some days, he could barely sleep from the ache of constant repetition. And every morning, the same thought returned. This is pointless. He carried stones anyway. But with every step, the temple in his mind faded a little more. One evening, burdened by exhaustion and shame, Wei approached Confucius again. "Master," he said quietly, "I have done as you instructed. I have carried stones for months, maybe longer. But all I have is a meaningless pile of rocks. My dream is no closer than when I began. Perhaps I am not meant to build anything great after all." Confucius did not scold him. He simply walked with Wei through the quiet night to the plot of land. The moon hung low, bathing the stones in silver light. Wei blinked. The pile of rocks was far larger than he remembered. Where he saw nothing, he now saw a small hill, a shape, a presence, a beginning. Confucius folded his hands behind his back. "You believe you have nothing," he said, "because you measure only what remains undone. But look at what exists now. What did not exist before?" Wei stared at the mound of stones. Each one represented a day he thought was wasted. A day he believed he had made no progress. A day he wanted to quit. But those stones were proof. Progress is not always loud. Sometimes it grows silently, beneath the notice of your own impatience. "You focus too much on the mountain that remains," Confucius said softly. "Look instead at the ground you have already built." For the first time, Wei felt pride, not for a distant dream, but for the small, stubborn actions that had brought him this far. He realized that his frustration came not from the task itself, but from how he judged the pace of progress. Greatness is not a sudden leap. It is the daily courage to move one stone. From that day forward, Wei returned to his work with new eyes. He no longer woke up thinking of the temple he had not yet built. He thought only of the stone in his hand, the single step he could take today. And day by day, stone by stone, what once felt impossible slowly became inevitable. Years passed. The young man with raw hands became an older man with steady strength. And one morning, Wei stood before the completed temple. It was vast, beautiful, enduring. People marveled at its grandeur, asking him how he achieved such a monumental feat. Wei simply smiled and said, "One stone at a time." Confucius visited the temple and nodded. "You have learned the lesson most people never discover," he said. The mountain is not moved by ambition, strength, or talent. It is moved by consistency, by patience, by showing up today, even when tomorrow feels unreachable. Wei bowed, tears in his eyes. He finally understood. So whatever your mountain is, a dream, a habit, a change you fear is too big, do not stare at its size. Do not measure how far you have to go. Measure only the stone in your hand. Can you carry it today? If you can, the mountain is already moving. And one day, quietly, without fanfare, you will stand before what you built and realize that greatness was never far away. It was always in the stone you chose to carry today. Wei remained at the temple long after Confucius and the villagers left. He ran his hands along the cool stone walls, each block carrying the memory of a day he chose effort over excuses, consistency over comfort, purpose over doubt. He remembered the laughter of his friends. He remembered the ache in his back. He remembered the nights when he believed he had accomplished nothing. And yet here it was, a structure so solid it looked as if it had risen from the earth itself. That's when Wei understood the truth in its purest form. You never notice the moment you change your life. You only notice the moment you look back and see how far you've come. You never feel the mountain move under your feet. You only feel the weight of the stone in your hands. And that is enough. The temple became a living reminder that consistency is stronger than motivation, that patience is louder than talent, and that the quiet act of showing up daily is more powerful than any burst of inspiration. Years later, when travelers asked Wei how he built such a masterpiece, he never mentioned struggle or sacrifice. He simply said, "I moved a stone each day. The rest took care of itself." So now the question turns to you. What is your mountain? What dream feels too distant, too heavy, or too overwhelming? Stop staring at the peak. Start carrying today's stone. Greatness is never built in a moment, but it is always built in this moment. And if stories like this help you reflect, inspire you to keep going, or give you strength when doubt returns, I invite you to subscribe, not just to support the channel, but to stay connected to deeper stories, ancient wisdom, and lessons that can move your own mountains one stone at a time. Carry your stone. Come back tomorrow, and let's keep building something that lasts.